Cities are built of something that's far more important than steel and brick and stone. What holds a city together is a need which all men have, the need for living together with their fellow men, sharing their work, helping each other, enjoying their friendships and their companionship. And since people must depend upon one another, they have built up ways through the ages of getting along together. Our laws are one way of doing this. But just as important as laws are the rules and usages of courtesy and consideration, which we call good manners. They come naturally where people have a high regard for each other. We see good manners every day, not only among adults, but among children too. Often they may not even realize that the consideration they're showing for others might be called good manners. Wherever you go, you'll always find that good manners keep things running smoothly. Paying attention to a neighbor's yard is good manners because it's considerate. So is going to the end of the line instead of trying to break into the middle. It's only fair to those who were there before you. Introductions are good manners because they're friendly and help people be at ease with each other. And good manners at the table make for a pleasant and comfortable meal. Such things as coming to the table with clean hands and face, passing food properly, and pleasant conversation make mealtime enjoyable for the whole family. Yes, you see good manners wherever there are people who respect each other and want to get along with others. Sometimes, though, you find a person like Mickey Taylor who has lost sight of the importance of good manners or who hasn't realized the values of consideration for others.
Come in and say hello to Mrs. Norris.
Letting the screen door slam, strewing his clothes about the kitchen, certainly isn't being considerate of his mother.
I'll get him. Hello? Who? Karen? No, she's not in.
The least he could do is offer to take a message. And what about the importance of good manners to guests of other members of the family?
You remember Mrs. Norris, don't you? Oh, hello, Mickey. It's nice to see you again.
Hello.
It's time for one of Mickey's favorite programs, and he doesn't stop to think that the set may disturb his mother and her guest. It isn't that Mickey wants to be rude. He just hasn't stopped to think.
Mickey.
May I speak with you? Okay. Is she gone?
Yes, she is. And I must say you behaved very rudely to Mrs. Norris and me.
Well, she made me miss my favorite program.
You shouldn't have turned the set on in the first place. Honestly, Mickey, I don't know where your manners have gone to.
Manners. Is that all you grown-ups ever think about?
Yes, we do think about them, Mickey, because we've learned from experience that manners are important in helping people get along together. You'll never be happy with others until you learn to be considerate of them.
I get along all right.
Do you, Mickey? I wonder.
Sure. Kids don't need manners. Manners are just for grown-ups.
I think you're wrong about that. Someday you'll find it out.
Oh, manners.
Mickey's mother has given him something to think about. He hasn't gotten along too well with his friends lately, but...
Kids don't need manners.
The next morning, Mickey has all but forgotten his talk with his mother, but something happens on the way to school to remind him of it.
I should have gone around. But, oh well, accidents will happen.
And later on at the playground, Mickey sees the ball coming toward him, and he obeys a sudden impulse to get into a game he's not a part of. It starts an argument, and then the bell rings to break up the game.
Gee, I didn't realize this was a class game.
Just before lunch, Mickey gets a chance to learn what it's like when someone else's bad manners make him uncomfortable.
Can't you girls talk English?
And so Mickey has quite a lot to think about during lunch, especially when he suddenly realizes that he's sitting alone, and he begins to wonder whether the others may not be passing him by.
I don't think they'd pass me by on purpose. Kids don't care about manners. I wish there wasn't any such thing as manners. Boy, if I were president, I'd put a stop to manners. That's what I'd do. I'd make a proclamation. It gives me great pleasure to sign this proclamation. With it, we are abolishing manners forever. In doing so, I am following the wish of children all over the nations, who I am sure have found manners no use at all, to them or to anyone else.
Mr. President.
Yes?
There's a big crowd of children outside. They demand to see you.
Let them in. Let them all in.
Gentlemen, the press conference is over. Thank you very much for coming. And you ladies.
Just one more, Mr. President.
Thanks a lot. I want to thank all of you for coming here today. Show me how much you appreciate my plan for doing away with manners.
That's not why I'm here.
What's this?
Well, I'm here because I disagree. I think manners are important. And here's why. A few weeks ago, I was appointed by the class to make a poster for the safety drive. It was an important job, and I did want it to be good. I worked hard on it. I was pretty excited when the day of the contest came. But then some boy ran right through us. He bumped into me and knocked the poster right out of my hand. It tore down the middle, and the whole thing was ruined for me and for the class. He could have been more considerate and gone around us. And that's why I think manners are important.
That's what I think, too. I don't like sissy stuff any more than the rest of you kids do. But I'm for manners just the same, especially after what happened on the playground. I'm the captain of the class team who challenged the fifth graders. It was a tough match and the score was tied. Then somebody just had to be a smart aleck and break into the game. Then the bell rang and we didn't get a chance to finish. Boy, he sure spoiled everything. Just because he figured nobody else mattered but him. That's bad manners. I'm against this proclamation. What about the rest of you?
Let me tell you what happened to me, and right in class.
Somebody slammed the door in my face. And somebody spilled milk all over me. My bike was ruined. Phone slammed right in my ear. Somebody tripped me. I got pushed. Say, Paul. Yeah? I'm sorry about that game this morning. Oh, that's all right. Will you sit with me? Sure.
Mickey isn't very good at apologizing because making apologies, like other kinds of manners, takes practice. Maybe he will learn his lesson about the importance of good manners, or maybe he won't. It's pretty hard to tell. What do you think? And what do you think about manners in general? Do you think manners really start with consideration for others? Aren't really important in this modern day and age? Do you think boys need manners as much as girls do? There's a lot to think and talk about on the subject of manners, and many good reasons to ask, Are manners important?
I hope you got something good to eat tonight. The coach really gave us a workout. And, oh, boy, ham! I'm so hungry I could eat a neutral and see what he gave us to do.
Sure.
Huh?
Could you serve yourself in a less athletic manner?
Oh. Is this better?
Chuck. At least you could manage to be on time. After your mother goes to all the trouble to prepare a fine meal, it's only common courtesy, Chuck.
I know, but I couldn't help it. I was late home from school.
Never mind. He did wash up and brush his hair. By the way, Chuck, I saw Barbara's mother downtown. That's quite a supper party she's planning.
Is it this Friday?
I'm not going.
Why not?
Do I have to have a reason?
But all your friends will be there.
Carl, I'm not going.
Chuck, don't talk with your mouth full.
Good night, Chuck. Night. Have a good time.
Thank you, Chuck.
Night,
Good night.
Oh, who wants to go to a supper party?
You do, Chuck.
Huh? Who are you?
We're looking into the future, Chuck. And the young man you are going to be in a few short years.
Well, if you say so.
And take it from me, when we're my age, we won't be turning down invitations.
Oh, maybe not.
Tell me, why aren't you going?
I don't know.
I do. You're worried about not doing the right thing. Your table manners.
Now you're talking like Mom and Dad.
Look, you may not care much about table manners now, but when you grow up to be me, then you'll care.
But why? Why does it matter?
For several reasons. Look, maybe I can show you. Let's imagine the family at dinner with nobody minding his manners. Not very pretty, is it? Each person busy feeding his face, showing no consideration for the others. People become irritated, angry. No one can enjoy a meal like this. No. Mealtime is a time for pleasure and relaxation. It's the best opportunity the family has to talk together, exchange bits of news, make plans. When everybody eats properly, the meal goes better, and everybody has more fun. What's more, when we relax and enjoy ourselves, we digest our food better. And ask your doctor if that isn't important to your health. But there's more.
What's that?
How long now before you'll be going out to make your own way in the world?
Not very long, I guess.
And whatever you do, wherever you go, you'll want to put your best foot forward. Here, let's try another trick. Let's change that to a table in a restaurant. You're taking a girl out to dinner. To make a good impression, you must know what to do. Who seats the girl? When you sit? How to order your meal? Of course, the girl wants to know these things too, in order to show herself at her best. Then you must know how to eat your meal. And the only way to have good table manners when you want them is to practice them regularly at home. Get in the habit of eating properly, so it just comes naturally. Or take another case. Say you're having lunch with your boss. Say he's thinking about somebody to fill a good position that's opening up. Well, put yourself in the boss's place. Would you give the job to a fellow like this? Or to a fellow who thinks that table manners are silly? You see what I mean about putting your best foot forward? Table manners are important because people judge many things about you just by the way you eat.
All right, maybe so, but it's also complicated.
Is it? Look, there's nobody here. Let's try it out.
What do you mean?
Come on. Besides, that supper party sounds good. If we know what to do, I think we'll want to go.
Well...
Look sharp now. There. There is a place setting properly arranged.
It looks all right, but what am I supposed to do? That's the question.
Well, what would you do if you sat down to dinner and found 3 forks, like this?
I'd probably end up with one left over and wonder what I did wrong.
Not if you remember one simple rule. Always use silverware from the outside in. So, starting from the outside, use this for your salad, this for your main course, and this...
Why, that one must be for the dessert.
You see? It's easy.
But there's something funny here. Doesn't the butter knife belong here?
Well, the book says either place. And speaking of the book, it wouldn't hurt you to use one sometime and check up on any points that you're not sure of.
Sure, we have some books in school, but I'll have to be careful who sees me reading it.
Don't worry, you can manage that. And now to use these things. Let's have some food. Say, it's too bad you've just eaten.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Things will be easier if you'll remember that in eating, there are 3 kinds of food. Finger foods, fork foods, and spoon foods. Now, clean, dry foods, bread is one of them, are finger foods. But when you have something that's messy or sticky, you better use a fork.
Yeah, like a cream puff?
That's the idea. Now, fork foods include meats, potatoes, vegetables, salads, and many others. There's a right way to hold a fork, and this is it. Don't put onto your fork any more than 1 mouthful of food. Oh, yes, after you've placed food on your fork, if you decide to talk, lay it down until you're ready to eat. It looks better. And this is the way to park a fork, after you've used it.
Not propped up on the edge of the plate, huh?
That's the idea. Here, now you try it.
Okay.
Now, with some fork foods, we need a knife. Let's see how you use it.
The folks say I do it wrong.
Hey, that's not only the wrong way, it's the hard way. Here, try this. Put the ends of both the handles in the palms of your hands, like that. Hold the meat with your fork and cut the meat. Don't tear it apart.
Say, this is better.
You see? Good table manners are just common sense.
Is that right?
Yes, that's the way most people in America handle their knife and fork. We don't have to worry with the European method. But now, after you've finished eating...
I have.
You place your knife and fork this way to show that you have finished.
But what about spoon foods?
Oh, yes. All right. How do you manage soup?
Hi, you don't fool me on this one. You never tip the bowl, and you dip the soup away from you. Not too much in the spoon, and you eat from the side of the spoon.
Precisely. And now, would you care for some turnips?
Oh, turnips. You know I can't bear... no thank you.
That's the idea, Chuck. Courtesy, consideration for others, common sense. That's what table manners are.
You mean that's all there is to table manners, just what we've talked about?
Oh, no. But you already know a great deal. And you can learn still more by watching Mother and Dad and other people who have good manners. But the main thing is...
The main thing is to practice at home so that table manners will come naturally and I won't have to think about them when I'm out.
You can't miss. Oh, let's do the dishes.
Mother should see that.
Well, Chuck, are we going to that party?
Sure we are. We are?
That's right, Chuck. We are going to the party. You can't see me any longer, but remember, I'm the fellow you're going to be. So I'm interested in seeing that you always make a good impression. This really isn't hard, is it? You know what to do. That's right. Ladies first into the dining room. What? Right again. Find your place and remain standing. You see, Chuck, it's easy to do the right thing if you remember courtesy, consideration of others, and common sense. And also remember, you're here not to see how much or how fast you can eat, but to have a good time. Well, our boy is doing all right. Don't you think so? Don't you think you can do the same?
Here's a beautiful new school. There are plenty of toys to play with, and plenty of children to play with, too. Watch 3 of these children to see what they do. Susan, Michael, and Irene are coming out to play. They certainly can have a good time in a play yard like this. But what's the matter with Susan? And what's the matter with Irene? Blocks are for all to share. Aren't they going to play together? Michael is angry. You'd be angry, wouldn't you, if someone pushed you that way? Michael wants to help Bill, too. Susan and Irene just haven't learned that sharing is fun. Well, perhaps they think they'll have a better time playing alone. Certainly, Michael could help them, though. Wonder what they're trying to build. Why, it's like it, isn't it? Susan and Irene are working very hard. It takes lots of careful building to make the blocks stay up. Still more blocks are needed to make the sides wider and stronger. When it's finished, they'll probably want to run a train through it. Would you like to be a train going through a tunnel like theirs? Susan's the first train. Oh, too bad. She's a little too big a train for the tunnel, isn't she? But the girls are going to build the tunnel up again. Perhaps if it's a little wider, Susan may get through next time. No, it didn't work. Maybe Irene ought to try it. She's smaller. While the girls build up their tunnel once more, let's see what Michael is doing. Look at Michael's train. A train like that would really go through a tunnel, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, there's lots of clay to work with. That's fun, too. Michael presses it and squeezes it. Sometimes clay just feels good. But Michael's not really thinking about the clay today. He rolls it and rolls it and rolls it some more. And all the time he's wishing he were playing with the girls and their blocks. Poor Michael. He sometimes likes to play alone, but other times it's more fun to play with children. It's too bad the girls won't let Michael share their play. You know what it feels like when your friends won't let you play with them. Michael's unhappy. He likes clay, but he would really rather be over there with the blocks, the tunnel, and the girls. Michael decides to play with the train again. Let's watch him. Wonder where his train is going. Oh, over to the easel. Michael wants to make a picture. Look at those big lines. Michael likes to paint pictures. While he paints, we'll see how the girls are getting along. They're building up their tunnel again so that Irene can try it this time. You know, Irene is so much smaller than Susan, she might just be able to squeeze through. Careful now. Oh, there it goes again. It seems that the girls are both too big to be trains in that tunnel. Too bad they don't have a bigger block for that top piece. But they're building it up once more. And this time they have a better idea. Irene knows how nice it would be to have Michael's train. It could go through that tunnel quite easily. Well, perhaps Michael will share it. Irene is going to ask him. How about that, Michael? Would you play with the girls if... Oh, no, Irene. That's not fair. You can't just grab Michael's train away from him. You didn't share your blocks with him, and so you can hardly expect him to let you take his train. It would be nice to have Michael's train, but he wants to go along with it. You'd feel like Michael does, wouldn't you? What's Michael doing now? Do you think he's going to try to make a sand tunnel? Yes, he's digging one all right. We hope Michael will be able to make his sand tunnel and run his train through it. Let's see if he can. Say, that's a shame. The whole tunnel's caved in. Well, if it won't work, it won't work. What should Michael do? He'd still like to play with the girls and the blocks. He's not happy. And the girls aren't very happy either. Say, where's Michael going? Is he going to talk to the girls? What do you think he's saying? What do you think the girls are saying? Well, looks like they've all decided they can have more fun if they play and share together. They gather up the train. All three children help to carry the cars and go over to the blocks. But first, the train must be put together. That's easy, of course, when there's more than one to do the job. There it is. And now the children will fix up the tunnel again. Everyone's helping. It will be a stronger tunnel this time. It won't cave in now. Susan knows that it's often more fun to play and share together. She looks happier, doesn't she? Michael is happy, too. He likes what he's doing now because he's playing with his friends. And Irene knows, too, that it's more fun to play and share together. She wants to tunnel. She can hardly wait. All the children, Susan, Michael, and Irene, are having a good time. They're playing together and sharing their toys. It's fun to have friends to work and play with. And school is a place where we find many friends. Just look at that train going through the tunnel. Everyone's having a good time because everyone helps to make it go. Do the children in your school can play together? Do they share their toys and take turns on them? Do you?
We're visiting room 10 to see an exhibit on courtesy. May I present Mrs. Anderson and her son, Bill, who is in the class. They, too, have come to see the exhibit. Let's watch to see if the people actually display courtesy. Watch how Pete and Marion act as host and hostess. They know that courtesy means showing respect, thinking of the other person, real friendliness. When Pete mentions the neat job Bill did on the exhibit, Bill is pleased. That's courtesy at work. You can see, too, that everyone in the class must have done a great deal of thinking about courtesy and much work to prepare these posters and the rest of the exhibit. Bill is especially proud of his part in the exhibit. The artwork on this large poster, ways to show that we are thinking of other people. We help to make our meetings with other people courteous by using such words as please. Whenever we ask for anything, it shows our friendliness and courtesy if we ask with please. On the other hand, thank you is a simple way to repay those who do things for you. Another expression we need all the time is excuse me. It lets other people know that you are thinking of them when you say, excuse me. Still, another way to smooth your meetings with other people is, may I? If you must interrupt, 2 words will show that you mean well. Simply, may I? Notice how pleasant and thoughtful Mrs. Anderson is as she expresses interest in Bill's ideas on the poster. Bill graciously shares the credit with his classmates. It was a joint project, he explains, during their study of courtesy. While Pete and Marion posed, Bill sketched the action.
Please.
With that sketch finished, ready for final artwork, Pete got ready to play the guest for the next pose. Marion was the hostess, offering him a cookie.
Thank you.
Pete showed that he appreciated her kindness. For the next demonstration, they needed another chair to make a sofa, and they needed a telephone. Joan played the other girl in conversation with Marion. Marion had to interrupt to answer the phone.
Please excuse me.
She was pleasant and courteous herself. In the next pose, Marion had something important to say, or else she wouldn't have interrupted.
May I?
Marion is considerate of her friends. Besides these examples of courtesy, there are others. For instance, Mrs. Anderson's way of constructive suggestion. And notice how Bill begins his reply.
It's really quite good, Bill. But don't you think these courteous ways can be used in more than just these 4 situations?
Oh, yes, you're right, Mother. That's why we put the captions on the poster. We need them all the time.
Yes, we do need these simple expressions all the time to show that we are thinking of the other person. On the table is a scrapbook, especially prepared for the exhibit. It also showed consideration of the other person. The exact form of an invitation letter may vary, but this is an example.
Dear parents, an exhibit of our schoolwork and courtesy will be held in room 10 of the Sunnyside School on May 29th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. We hope you can come. Your friends, the class of room 10.
Notice the details about place, date, and time, as well as a few words of cordial invitation. This type of invitation needs no acceptance, but the class prepared an example of one for their scrapbook.
Dear friends, we thank you very much for the invitation to your exhibit in room 10 of the Sunnyside School on May 29 from 7:30 to 9 p.m. We shall be pleased to see your work on courtesy. Sincerely yours, your parents.
A letter of acceptance shows all the same details to be sure they are correct. There is also a sample letter of regret stating why the person could not accept. On the next few pages of the scrapbook are drawings and poems Pete had made about courtesy when using the telephone. Answer promptly. Don't keep the other person waiting. Friendliness is one of the main parts of courtesy. It saves time and makes your conversation more pleasant if you speak distinctly. It's courteous to be brief. Someone else may want to use the telephone. So much for the scrapbook. Over here is a poster that another student made. Be a good listener. It pleases the speaker to know you are really interested in him. And then, too, you can learn much by listening carefully. Mrs. Anderson is being a good listener now, isn't she? And then there's the matter of introductions. How will Bill introduce his mother and his teacher?
Mother, may I present Miss Barton, our teacher?
See how Bill shows respect to his mother by mentioning her first. Because she is the older woman, he presents Miss Barton to her. And he helps their conversation get started by explaining who Miss Barton is.
It's so nice to meet you, Mrs. Anderson. Bill has told me how much he enjoys your class. He's learned so much about courtesy. How did you teach him to make such a polite introduction?
Perhaps Bill should explain that, Mrs. Anderson.
Well, in our practice in class, we learned that introducing people was just a matter of showing respect. Marion, I'd like to introduce my friend Pete.
Bill mentioned the girl's name first and showed respect by presenting the boy to her. You can mention either name first with two boys of the same age.
Bill, this is Pete. Pete Dawson, Bill Anderson.
How do you do, Bill? Hello, Pete.
So the poster that grew out of this practice is included in the exhibit. And that's how the class learned that introductions are really easy. Just remember to show respect. Besides showing respect, your introductions can help the conversation to begin. Notice how Bill's mother introduces her friends, Mr. and Mrs. Hall.
Mrs. Hall, this is Miss Barton, the teacher in this room. Mrs. Hall is Joan Hall's mother.
Miss Barton, as hostess, offers her hand. Next, Mr. Hall is presented to Miss Barton. And finally, Bill is presented to Mr. and Mrs. Hall. Remember the order? There's a technique to shaking hands. No one likes to have his hand crushed by a bear, nor to clasp one like this, sometimes referred to as dead fish. And so the introductions have been completed, and the group settles down to friendly conversation. Well, it's time to go now. What have you seen here? That is, what have you seen besides the posters and scrapbooks of the exhibit? As you watch the host and hostess, their pleasant manner standing at the door to thank their guests for coming, as you see the guests reply graciously, you realize that it's the simple things, being friendly, thinking of the other person, and showing respect that make up everyday courtesy. Real living courtesy has made the evening a pleasure and a success.
And it began one day when I stopped to watch the children. They were building a city. Jack was painting the streets. Kathy was making the post office. Susan was starting on a gas station. Bob was building houses. They were having such a wonderful time. But then I noticed another boy, Johnny, just standing there, all alone. He looked so unhappy that I couldn't help wondering what was the matter. Hello, Johnny.
Yeah, what do you want?
I just wondered why you aren't playing with the other children.
Who wants to play with them?
I didn't really think Johnny meant that, so I decided to ask the others. Hello, boys and girls.
Hi.
Excuse me for interrupting, but why isn't Johnny playing with you?
Johnny's rude and selfish. He doesn't think of others. He won't take turns. And he always seems to be mad at somebody, always shouting or bossing us around. Maybe he doesn't mean to be selfish, but he is. He just doesn't know that you have to be nice to get along with others.
Can't you children help him get along?
We tried, but it didn't work.
Why? What happened?
He just...
Wait. Let's remember it's more courteous to take turns.
We did let him play with us, but you should have seen what happened. Whenever we tried to talk about what we were going to do, Johnny kept interrupting. Wouldn't give any of us a chance to say anything. He thought all our ideas were corny. He wouldn't let anybody else use the blue paint. Said he was the only one who could have a blue house. Anytime he wanted something, he would just grab it. He wouldn't take turns or share. And when we told him we didn't like it, he was very rude. So we just decided that if we were going to have any fun, he couldn't play with us. Gee whiz, what a creep!
Oh, that's too bad. Isn't there any way we can help Johnny learn to be considerate?
He'll never learn.
Maybe not, if nobody will be nice to Johnny and really try to help him.
But how? What else can we do?
We could call him over and really try again. Okay? Johnny,
Yeah.
can you please come over here a minute?
Okay. Hello, John. Hello. Hi.
We were just having a little talk, and we'd like it if you could tell us what you think.
What about?
We were talking about consideration for others and being nice to people.
Oh,
You know what that means?
sure. Things like taking turns and sharing, not being bossy, or interrupting all the time, and saying nice things like please and thank you.
That's right. You do know what consideration for others means, don't you?
Sure, who doesn't? Sure, who doesn't? You don't, that's who.
Hold on, Susan. You're giving a good example of how not to be nice to others.
I'm sorry, but he makes me so mad. He knows all the nice things to do. Why doesn't he do them?
Maybe he forgets, just like you just did. What do you say, Johnny?
How can I be nice to them? They won't even play with me.
Do you have any idea of why they don't play with you?
I don't know. Guess they just don't want to.
Maybe there are other reasons.
What, for instance?
Here, let me draw you a picture. Do you know what I'm drawing?
A bowl?
No, I have something else in mind. Now, what is it?
A face.
What kind of face?
A smiling face.
Yes, a happy face. Now, what's this?
An unhappy face.
Right. Now let's give them names. Let's call this one Smiley. And this one Sulky. Now, if Smiley and Sulky both came over to your house and wanted to play with you, which one would you rather play with?
This one.
Why?
Because he's happier. He'd be more fun to play with.
Yes, I agree. Now, look over here, Johnny. Would you say you look more like Smiley or Sulky? Would you want to play with you, the you that we see in the mirror? If you want other children to like to play with you, you'll have to be a Smiley, not a Sulky. That doesn't have to be so hard. In fact, if we change Sulky's selfish face to a happy, considerate of others face, he becomes a Smiley too. All right, let's see you try it. I mean, change your unhappy face into a happy face, like Smiley's. Smile, Johnny. Come on. Try. There, that's better. If you can keep that happy face and remember to be considerate to others, I'll bet the other children will like to have you play with them.
Sure. Sit here, Johnny. Look at my book. Johnny.
I wish I could say this is the end of it, but things never seem to work out that easily. Nobody can just all of a sudden start being nice to others. It takes a while. You have to try real hard and get lots of practice, or it's easy to forget to be nice. And I'm afraid that Johnny hasn't been trying long enough to go very far without a slip-up. Uh-oh, here it comes.
Just a minute, Johnny. Let me finish. I think we...
No, I got a better idea.
down. Kathy's talking.
Let her finish. Kathy's idea stinks. So here's the way we're gonna do it. Now we'll put the post office over here, and my house up here. Hey, what's the matter? You're no fun to play with when you want to do all the talking. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
That's just the trouble. You're always forgetting.
Gee, I want to be nice, but how can I remember? I'm trying, then all of a sudden I get excited and forget.
That's a real tough problem. How can we remember to always be considerate of others? Does anyone know?
It won't work unless you want to be nice. Really, really want to. But I do really want to. Then you'll have to keep trying. Trying extra hard. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. The more you try and be nice, the easier it gets. Oops, excuse me, my shoe's untied.
How did you learn to tie your shoes, Johnny?
Well, I just wanted to, so my mom showed me how, and I kept on practicing and trying, and pretty soon I could just do it. It's easy.
Sure. Learning to be considerate of others is like learning to tie your shoes. You've been shown how. Now it's up to you to practice and keep trying to be nice. Pretty soon it should be as easy as tying your shoes.
But what if I keep forgetting? I know I told Johnny, remember? It's like we do at our house. It started one night around the dinner table.
We don't want to call you children down in front of company or friends, but how can we remind you when we think you are forgetting to be considerate of others? Is there any way we can let you know you are being selfish without talking about it in front of others?
Maybe we could work out some signal that we all know means stop. You're not being nice. I know, how about this? Hey, that's a good signal. It shows us that we should be thinking about being nice.
That's good. Shall we all agree that any time one of us is starting to be selfish or rude or inconsiderate, and one of us goes, that's to remind us to be courteous?
And it works. Just so everyone takes it the right way and doesn't get mad.
Sounds like a good idea, Kathy. Shall we all try to help Johnny remember by giving him the signal when he forgets?
Yeah.
Okay, Johnny?
Sure.
Well then, so. Johnny. Well, it should work if Johnny really wants it to and tries hard enough. When Johnny starts to forget and the others signal to help him remember, he has to be a good sport about it. But most of all, Johnny has to make himself remember, so his friends won't have to remind him all the time. Then he'll start really being considerate of others. And if Johnny keeps trying hard, it won't be long before he'll be nice all the time. Then it will be easy, and Johnny will know that he's like Smiley, and other children will like to play with him. How about you? Do you ever forget to be considerate and act like a sulky? Or do you always try to be a Smiley?
Has this ever happened to you? Arriving at a brand new school in a brand new neighborhood on the first day, you don't know a single person. You want to get acquainted, but you don't quite know how to go about it. You decide to wait a while and see what happens.
Hey, there's a new boy.
Uh-oh.
Hi, you're new here, aren't you?
Remember the last school? Maybe these three are here to pick a fight. You have to be careful.
What's it to you?
That was the wrong thing to say. You thought they were troublemakers, and because of the way you answered, they now think you are a troublemaker. Have you ever had an experience like this and wished that you could have a second chance, a chance to do things right? If you could have a second chance, let's see what might have happened. This time, you don't expect the worst.
Hi, you're new here, aren't you? That's right. My name's Jeff Martin. My name's Jack Boyer. This is Bob Reynolds and Herb White.
It was such a simple thing when you had a second chance to say and do the right thing. The only trouble is you can't relive the moments in which you make mistakes. It's important to learn what to do and say the first time. Of course, you have to be aware of what you might be doing wrong before you can improve. Perhaps you are like this boy, a really nice person who just doesn't know how to return a greeting. So you respond with a cold nod of the head, or at most a mumbled reply. The person who receives such a greeting gets the idea that you're a grouch. And if you do it to enough people, often enough, you'll begin to wonder why others are so unfriendly to you. Perhaps you are guilty of still another lack of skill in greeting people. Have you ever met someone and waited for that person to speak first? If the other person doesn't speak, and if you don't speak, each of you may form the wrong opinion of the other. The need for an introduction can occur anytime, anywhere. Do you recognize those occasions?
I thought you might like a ride home. I sure do. I hate to wait for the bus. I don't believe I've met your mother, Mary. Oh, this isn't my mother. This is Mrs. Fredericks, our next-door neighbor. Oh.
If you fail to introduce people, you can't blame them for jumping to the wrong conclusion. It can be embarrassing. Perhaps you don't know what to say when you're introduced to someone new. You lack ease and assurance in your manner.
I guess you two don't know each other. Tommy Burke, this is Ted Hall. Hi, Ted.
Because you lack confidence in yourself, you don't bother to even answer a friendly greeting. If you are like this boy, or if any of these difficulties in exchanging greetings or introductions apply to you, it should be clear that you need to improve your ability. Your failure to reply shows that you don't know that the reason for exchanging greetings and introductions is simply to show courtesy and consideration for others. The situation determines the type of greeting or introduction, formal or informal, that you should use. A ball game gives us an example of an informal greeting.
Hello, Johnny. Hi. Have we missed much of the game? Only 3 or 4 minutes.
In some situations, with people that you know well, informal behavior is correct. Even in informal introductions, a girl's name is usually mentioned first.
Kathy, this is my best friend, Bruce. Kathy is my cousin from Colorado. How are you?
It's a good idea to supply some information about each person you are introducing. You use the formal type of greeting or introduction in situations that are outside your family or circle of very close friends. For example,
Dr. Sears, I want you to meet my son, Stuart.
How do you do, Dr. Sears?
Hi, Stuart. Real nice to meet you, sir.
formal introductions are necessary in many situations. Let's look at a few typical examples that you may encounter. Suppose your school is having an open house for parents. If your teacher and your parents have never met, it's up to you to make the introductions.
Hi, Janet. How are you? Fine. Mrs. Stevens, I'd like you to meet my parents. Sister and Mrs. Saunders.
How do you do? I'm very glad to
It's proper to mention first the name of the person you wish to honor. Since the teacher is outside of your family, her name is mentioned first. Your parents and your teacher have a common interest to discuss, your education. In other situations, however,
Dad, I'd like to introduce you to Tommy's father. Mr. Carson, this is my father, Mr. Perry.
How do you do?
in this case, the introduction of total strangers may end with an awkward silence unless you provide a topic of mutual interest.
Tommy Carson plays first base on our ball team, Dad.
Well, he must be the boy that set up that double play last Friday. Say, for a boy his age, he's quite a ball player.
Well, I guess it runs in the family. I've always been a fan and used to play some in the old days.
Was that so?
With your help, even total strangers can find something to talk about. When making formal introductions, you should observe several rules of courtesy.
Mr. Gator, I'd like to introduce my friend, Steve Bailey.
When introducing a young person to an older person, you should show respect for age by saying the older person's name first. If one of the persons you are introducing is a person of distinction, you should honor him by mentioning his name first.
Judge Parker, this is my cousin, Susan Dryden.
Well, hi, Susan. Are you going to school this morning?
Someday, perhaps very soon, you will have the opportunity to introduce someone to your class or to some other large group of people.
But it's a very special treat. Jimmy has brought a visitor to our class. Jimmy, would you like to introduce our visitor?
Yes, please. When our class started studying about South America, I thought about my uncle, who has spent a lot of time there. He travels in South America for an oil company and knows a lot about life in South America.
Next, it is proper courtesy to present a speaker by first addressing the teacher, the class, and finally the guest of honor. His name is given last so the audience can remember it.
Mrs. Stevens, class, I'd like to introduce my uncle, Mr. Charles Blake.
Thank you, Jimmy. Mrs. Stevens, members of the class,
Since Jimmy has explained his uncle's background of experience in South America, the members of the class clearly understand that he speaks with authority on the subject. Greetings and introductions will always play an important part in your life. Every day you will have an occasion to greet someone, to introduce yourself, or to introduce others. Here are some basic rules to help you. Be sincere. If someone says hello, do what is natural. Say hi or hello right back to him. If you feel that you should show more respect, answer a greeting with, how do you do? In introductions, be sure to speak each person's name clearly. If you don't understand, ask that the name be repeated. If you are introducing yourself, add some personal identifying remark. The same rule applies when introducing other people. It helps people remember as well as start the conversation. When introducing strangers, try to make a remark that will help to start a conversation. When introducing a boy and a girl, the name of the girl should be given first. When introducing an older person to a younger person, give the older person's name first. Show respect for your elders. If you introduce someone to your class, show courtesy by addressing the teacher and the class before you introduce the speaker. The guest's name should be given last so others will remember it. Other people will notice your skill in following these simple but important rules. Greetings and introductions serve to put people at ease, to make them feel welcome. You will be admired if you master the simple skills of exchanging greetings and introductions. Practice different kinds of introductions, at school, at home, and with your classmates. As you continue to practice, you will gain confidence and self-assurance, valuable assets to carry with you throughout your entire lifetime.
Martha had to have a party. Hard times party at that. What makes you think I'd like to bring Carol? Oh, Carol's all right. I don't have any fun at parties. Kids just aren't friendly.
Oh, Bill, that might be your fault.
I doubt it.
Maybe it's just that you don't know how to use social courtesy.
Social what?
Social courtesy, Bill.
Oh, that's old-fashioned.
What's old-fashioned about having fun at parties?
What's having fun at parties got to do with social courtesy?
If you give me a chance, I'll show you.
Go ahead.
All right. First, let's get you to Carol's house to call for her.
What? Well, okay.
Now go ahead and ring the doorbell. I'll stick around and help you out.
Wow. Hey, look, what's so special about this? I don't have to be courteous just to call for my date, do I?
Hi, Bill. What a costume. I'm nearly ready. Do you want to come in for a minute?
Nearly, huh? I'll wait out here. Don't take all night.
Hold it. Let's take a picture of this situation. Now look at that, Bill. Here Carol was trying to be friendly. And you said people aren't friendly. No, Bill. You discourage others when they want to be friendly. You'd better back up and start all over again. I don't think Carol's going to want to go out with you again unless you...
Huh?
Did I touch a sore spot, Bill? Well, maybe you'd better try to be more friendly this time.
Hi, Bill. Oh, that's quite a costume. I'm nearly ready. Do you want to come in for a minute?
Oh, thanks, Carol. But I guess I'll wait out here, if you don't mind.
Well, all right. I won't be long.
How am I doing?
Better. But you might have gone inside if she asked.
Oh, I wanted to check with you. Hey, say, wait a minute. Is this social courtesy, what I've been doing?
It's part of social courtesy. Just simple friendliness.
Here I am.
Let me help.
Thank you. Should we go? This will be a lot of fun tonight. We'll go playing. Well, and you go on and enjoy the party. Come with me, Carol.
All right, Bill, you're at the party. Now let's see you try some more social courtesy. I'll be right here to help you.
Thanks.
I don't know, Mark. Cut it out. The way you go.
And hello, Bill. How are you?
Okay, I guess.
Bill, aren't you going to learn? You're being very rude to Martha's mother. She thinks you're very impolite. Look at you sprawled out in that chair. You're supposed to rise when an adult speaks to you. Everybody knows that. Now, let's back up and try it again and see if you can be polite. Oh, come on, Bill. Sit up. That's a chair, not a bed. That's better. Watch it now. Here she comes.
Well, hello, Bill. How are you?
Fine, thanks. I didn't expect to see you in costume. That's pretty clever.
Well, thank you. You did pretty well yourself.
Oh, thanks. You like it?
I certainly do. There's Ellen. I want to see her. Have fun.
Well, now, wasn't that better? Look at the effect of a little politeness. You've had a very pleasant talk with Martha's mother.
Oh, she seemed friendlier than usual.
That's because you were friendly and courteous. Now, look over to your left. Martha's introducing a stranger to the group. She'll be here soon. Suppose you had to make the introductions. How would you do it?
Me? Oh, well, I'm not going to. That's Martha's job.
Well, we can fix that up pretty easily. All it takes is a little switch. And now you have to do the introducing.
Martha, Hank.
Hold it, Bill. Not so good. Let's go back to the beginning and let Martha show you how.
Bill, I'd like to meet Hank Ratner. This is Bill Brent.
Hi. I'm glad to know you.
Hank is the fellow who won the city math contest last week. Except for that, he's normal.
Say, you could help me with my algebra, couldn't you?
Well, I could try.
But not now. This is a party, remember? Besides, I want you to meet my mother.
All right.
Goodbye, Bill.
See you later, Bill. Yeah, sure thing, Hank.
You see, a good introduction makes meeting people simpler and more pleasant.
Sure, you're right. But there's so much to learn how to do.
Sure, there's a lot to learn, but it's worth it. And learning is easy. One way is by watching others.
Oh, here comes Carol. About time, too. How long does it take to take your coat off?
Easy, Bill. Is it going to help any if you complain?
No.
All right. Be friendly, thoughtful. Join in the fun. You'll get along. I'll see you at refreshment time.
Huh?
Hi, Bill.
Oh, hi, Carol. Oh, come on, let's join the gang.
Swell.
How about a Virginia Rio?
Let's clean up.
Bill, how are you getting along?
All right.
How about some refreshments? Aren't you hungry?
Good idea.
You could get some for Carol, too.
That is a good idea.
Are you talking to yourself?
Oh, no, I was just thinking. I'll get you some food.
Why, thank you, Bill. Oh, dear.
I'm sorry, Joan.
Oh, it's all my fault. I didn't watch where I was going.
You didn't watch where you were going. You know, I'll get you some more.
Oh, you don't have to, Bill.
It's all right. Here. You want some
No.
apple?
Thank you.
It's all right.
Now you're getting the idea, Bill. Be friendly. Be thoughtful. What do you think of social courtesy now?
I guess it makes being with people a lot more enjoyable for me.
And more enjoyable for them, too. You've made a good impression on people here. Listen.
Isn't that the boy who used to be so rude?
Why, yes.
You hear that? She says you're not as rude as you used to be.
What do you know?
And look at Carol.
Why, he's actually nice now. I'm glad I came with him. Really.
Those few changes made a big difference, didn't they?
Yes, social courtesy does make a difference. And it's easy to learn. You can learn by watching others. And you can even get a book on courtesy from the library.
I might at that. Sorry I took so long. I had an accident.
Thank you. Bill, I'm having some of the kids over to my house next Saturday night. I'd like to have you come, too.
Oh, I don't... Sure. Sure, I'd like to come.
Good.
Thanks for asking me. Social courtesy does pay, doesn't it? Thanks.
another day. Oh,
Useless. And furthermore, if you were any kind of a god, you'd be out working miracles for people instead of loafing around the palace all day.
yes, Juno, my love.
You are the most completely worthless husband a goddess ever had. Why, you can't even turn off that rain so I can hang the washing out to dry.
But I'm out of practice, dear. Nobody has believed in me for thousands and thousands of years. I'm out of date.
And I'm out of patience. You could at least try to stop that storm.
Well, all right. I'll try. Maybe I've still got some of the old stuff left. Gloria, abracadabra! And gesundheit! See? Nothing happened.
Wait a minute. Look, Jupiter. It's stopping.
Well, what do you know about that? By golly, I hauled off and made a miracle after all.
Well, you ought to get busy and make some more. Just look at Earth down there. Full of people who could use a miracle or two to make life easier.
Sure, but you know how they are. Quarrelsome, ornery, always fighting, always arguing. It hardly seems worthwhile to make miracles for people like that.
Oh, I don't know. Now, take that man down there in the commuter's car. He looks as though he needs some help. Goodness, he's really feeling low, isn't he?
He certainly looks it. Let's tune in and find out what he's thinking about, huh?
Yes, let's.
What a day. Another one like this, and a man by the name of Thornton J. Poindexter will be ready for the booby hatch. That's me. Feet hurt, headaches. As far as I'm concerned, the whole human race can go hang. Let's see. I started the first thing this morning with that kid on his bicycle.
Hey, you, why don't you watch where you're going, you little imp? What are you doing right on the sidewalk anyway?
On your father's mustache. You don't own the sidewalk.
Why?
Yeah.
Fresh little brat, you ought to be spanked.
Yes, that was the way this day started. And I, Thornton J. Poindexter, was burned up even before I got to the newsstand at the corner.
The usual paper?
Certainly.
Here you are, 3 cents. I know the price. Here, take it out of this $5 bill. Did you got anything smaller? I can't change that.
You can't? Why don't you keep some change on hand so you can do business properly?
Take it easy, mister. It's pretty early in the morning.
Never mind. I don't want any alibis. I'll buy my paper somewhere else.
Hey, old crab.
Well, my day certainly was getting off to a bad start. When I got to the station, some dope ahead of me was getting a commuter's ticket.
Look, how long are you going to hold everybody up, mister?
Just as long as it takes the lady to make out my commuter's ticket, chum. Any objections?
You certainly picked a fine time for it. You're going to make me miss my train.
No, ain't that just too bad?
So I missed my train. That made me 10 minutes late at the office. And then to make matters worse, when I got in the elevator, a female monster loaded with parcels was jabbing me and pushing me around.
Fine thing, flooding up a busy elevator this hour of the morning with a bunch of junk.
I beg your pardon? Are you referring to me?
Your father's mustache.
Yes, that was one thing I learned from the kid on the bicycle. Anyhow, by the time I got to the office, late of course, I was fit to be tied. And of course, so was the boss. He gave me a look that would fry an egg. I ignored him and got by. But things didn't improve as the day went on. At lunch, for instance, I had a run-in with the waitress.
What do you have?
Well, I'll have the boiled beef.
We're out of boiled beef.
And I'll have the Finn and Hattie.
We're out of Finn and Hattie, but,
Look, is this a restaurant or isn't it? Do you serve food here or don't you?
this is a restaurant, mister. We do serve food when we have it. But you can't come in this late on the lunch hour and expect to pick and choose.
Yep.
Now, if you want a ham sandwich or something.
I don't want to eat anything in this hash house.
Oh, my aching feet.
So I ended up eating a hamburger in a joint around the corner. What a day. What a day. Then to cap the climax, I had a date at my bank to talk over a loan I need in order to buy a new house. So on my lunch hour, I went to see the third assistant vice president. He was a cold fish, and I wasn't in a very good mood either, believe me.
How do you do, Mr. Poindexter? Sit down.
Thanks.
I've examined your application for a loan from the bank, and there are a few more facts we have to have.
What do you mean, facts?
Details, more data on your financial position, shall we say.
Well, I've had an account in this bank for 12 years. I've got a darn good credit rating, and you want more facts.
You don't have to get so excited about it, Poindexter. It's a matter of routine.
Routine? Oh, I suppose you'd like to know the color of my second cousin's eyes, or how often I get a haircut. What is this, a bank of the third degree?
On second thought, Poindexter, I believe we can dispense with the extra information. You'll hear from us in a few days, by mail. Goodbye, Poindexter. I can assure you your application for a loan will receive all of the attention it deserves.
Well, I knew then that I'd never get the loan, but it wasn't my fault. Everything had gone so wrong, I felt upset and unhappy, and now I'm dead tired, and I hate to go home and tell Mary about what happened at the bank.
There. If I ever saw one, he's a human who could use a miracle, Jupiter.
Why? Everything that's happened to him, he brought on himself. If he hadn't antagonized everybody the way he did, his day wouldn't have turned out nearly so bad.
Oh, true enough. Only he doesn't know that. Why don't you haul off and work some kind of a miracle that'll fix things up for him?
What kind of a miracle?
Oh, I don't know. Something simple like. I've got it.
Oh.
Why not let him relive his bad day? Only this time, show him how to treat other people better, so he'll get treated better.
Yeah, might be interesting at that. Although, mind you, I don't think he'll act much differently. All humans are ornery.
Anyway, you can try.
Well, okay. Here goes. Poindexter. Oh, Poindexter. Poindexter.
What? Who's that?
This is Jupiter, Poindexter.
Jupiter? Jupiter who?
I beg your pardon. Were you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Jupiter.
That's right. I'm a god. Lots of people used to believe in me.
Oh, quit your kidding. I suppose you're up in the sky someplace.
That I am, son. That I am.
Oh, nonsense.
What did you say?
Will you please stay out of this conversation, lady? I'm talking to Jupiter.
Oh. Jupiter. Oh, my goodness, I'm glad this is my stop.
Listen, Poindexter. How would you like to go through this bad day over again and have everything turn out all right?
How could I? The day's already gone.
And you wasted it because you forgot a few fundamentals on how to get along with people.
I did? Such as?
Well, such as a soft answer turneth away wrath. You can catch more flies with sugar than vinegar. Kindness, like corn, increases by sowing.
It's all corn if you should ask me. Everyone I had trouble with today was ornery and mean. They didn't remember any of those old proverbs.
Well, they might have, son, if you had.
Yeah, what makes you think so?
Because, Poindexter, courtesy is contagious.
So is smallpox.
What can I do with somebody like that?
Stay with it. That Poindexter needs help.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Poindexter.
Yeah? What is it?
Let me put it this way. Do you consider yourself a selfish man?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Well, then it's high time you started getting selfish, Poindexter. Looking out for your own happiness. You've got to get selfish, Poindexter. Wisely selfish.
Well, I don't get it. 1 minute you want me to be courteous, and the next minute you want me to be selfish. Now, how come?
Well, being courteous is being selfish. Because every time you go out of your way to be extra nice to someone, you're laying the groundwork for that someone to be extra nice to you. That means your life is going to be a lot more pleasant, a lot more profitable, and certainly a lot more fun. So you're really being selfish. You're putting something in the bank of human relations that's going to pay you fat dividends. See?
Yeah, if the bank doesn't fold.
Fold? Oh, but it can't, Poindexter. Because when the person you've been kind and courteous to pays you back, he's being selfish too. Because you're going to tax some interest on what he's invested. Nobody loses.
I don't know, it sounds too easy.
But it's not, Poindexter. Sometimes it's pretty hard to do unto others so they do right by you. Because courtesy isn't a tip of the hat, the warm hand clasp, or the big fat compliment.
All right, I'll stooge for you. What then is courtesy?
Well, it's something that comes from inside you, down deep. It's patience and understanding of somebody else's problems and troubles. It's being helpful and friendly to people because you like and understand people. It's saving the other guy's face in an argument so that you can save your own. It's selfishness, Poindexter. Wise selfishness that does you more good than the good you're doing.
Is that so?
Sure. So why not take a whirl at it, old boy? I'll haul off and work a miracle for you that'll let you relive your tough day. Only this time, when you get tempted to get irritated at somebody, get smart. Get selfish instead. I'll give you a little reminder like this.
Say, that's kind of pretty.
Well, that'll remind you to get selfish. After you hear it, you're on your own. And we'll see what happens. Fair enough?
Well, I guess so.
Okay. Sit, transit, gloria, abracadabra, and gesundheit.
Now I've seen everything.
Hey, you, why don't you look where you're going? Why, you little...
Poindexter. You're starting out wrong. Get wise. Get selfish. Do yourself some good.
All right, Jupiter, that's right. Here you are, Sonny. Let me help you up. Did you hurt yourself?
No, sir. I'm sorry I almost ran into you. I'm late for school.
Well, we don't want that to happen, do we? Don't you think you'd make better time if you rode in the street?
Well, I guess you're right. Say, you're Mr. Poindexter that lives at 2085, aren't you?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Oh, I deliver your evening paper.
Say, would you do me a favor?
Well, sure I will.
Well, would you mind putting the paper under the front doormat instead of throwing it on the front porch? I know it'll be a little more trouble, but, see, I have a dog. As long as he gets a hold of it and tears it up.
Sure I will, Mr. Poindexter. I'll do that. Glad to.
Well, thanks a lot. I'll see you around. Oh, and another thing. If that teacher of yours gets mad because you're late, why, you tell her the truth.
Yes, sir. Well, goodbye, Mr. Poindexter.
Goodbye, boy. There's a nice boy.
How do you feel, Poindexter?
Me? I feel good.
Sure you do. That kid had troubles enough of his own, but you didn't add to them. You sympathized. And in return, you got a little extra service from him.
Yes, I did. Say, maybe there's something in what you say.
Yes, but don't get too self-confident, Poindexter. Your day has only started. It'll get tougher for him as the day goes along.
Oh, not necessarily.
That newsstand dealer down there still looks crabby.
Your usual paper?
Certainly.
There you are, 3 cents.
I know the price. By Jupiter, Fred, I'm in kind of a spot. I want my usual morning paper, but the smallest I have is a $5 bill, and I know you don't want to change that for a 3-cent purchase.
I not only don't want to, I can't. Ain't got that much change. Too early in the morning.
Well, you don't have to be so... Never thought of that. See, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll run over to the all-night drugstore, and I'll get this changed, and then you'll have some silver to work with, huh?
You didn't know that, Mr. Poindexter. Here's your paper. You can pay me tomorrow.
Well, thanks.
And say, I'm sorry I was so crabby just now. I was up all night with the wife. She's sick.
So, what's the matter?
Rheumatism or lumbago or something. The docs can't seem to make up their minds.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Say, I know a doctor that's a whiz at that kind of stuff. Why, he cured me in a jiffy about a year ago. Better try him out. Here, I'll give you his name and address.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Poindexter.
There you are.
And say, remember a few months ago, you told me to get you a hometown newspaper, and I told you it wasn't worth the trouble, and you got mad?
Sure, I remember.
Well, that paper's going to be on this stand every morning, rain or shine.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Fred.
He seems to be catching on, doesn't he? Don't strum that liar so hard this time and see what happens.
Well, I don't know. He won't want to miss that train again. And there's that same fellow buying a commuter's ticket. Look, how long...
My Jupiter. Pardon me. Are you getting a commuter's ticket?
Yeah. Why?
Well, I know from bitter experience that it takes the girl quite a while to fill one of those things out, and I wondered if you'd let me get a single ticket. It would keep me from missing my train.
Wait your turn like everybody else.
By Jupiter, that's right. I shouldn't try to barge in, should I? You don't know my boss. If I'm so much as 2 minutes late, he'll just give me the devil.
Yeah? You got that kind of boss too, huh?
How?
Well, here, step in and get your ticket. I ain't in no hurry.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks a lot. One more city, please.
It's okay. I hope you punch that clock on time.
Oh, I will, and thanks to you. There's my train now. Thanks. I'll see you around.
Say, I didn't have to play very loud in that one, did I?
No, he's catching on. I told you he would. And he isn't going to be late for work. Isn't that nice?
Well, I don't know. Look, he's in the elevator getting jabbed just as he was before.
Fine thing, put in elevators. By Jupiter. Those packages look a little heavy. Here, let me help you.
Why, thank you. They are pretty bulky.
Sort of hard getting around downtown during the early morning rush hour, isn't it?
It certainly is. In fact, I wouldn't have tried it, but I promised to take all these packages down to the collecting agency for the Crippled Children's Hospital before 9 o'clock.
Oh, the Children's Hospital. I used to be on one of its committees. I've got a real interest in the work they do there. Tell me, how often do you break?
See? You only had to touch a few strings that time. Jupiter, our lad is really getting into stride fast.
Well, it seems as though. And look, he's even rating a big smile from his boss. Well, the day seems to be going all right.
Still, he has to face that waitress whose feet hurt. Tell you what, just pluck one string this time. He may be smart enough by now, so he won't need much of a reminder.
All right.
What do you have?
Well, I'll have the boiled beef.
We're out of boiled beef.
And I'll have Finn and Hattie.
We're out of Finn and Hattie, but,
Look, is this a restaurant or... By Jupiter. I didn't realize it was so late. You're probably sold out of everything, aren't you?
yes, sir, we are. We had a lot of business for lunch.
Well, what would you suggest? I'm pretty hungry.
Well, I'll tell you. It isn't on the luncheon menu, but I can get you a nice steak and French fries if you'd like it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now you're cooking.
Medium rare?
Medium well.
Say, you see that? I used only one string that time, and I got a mistake. I have to eat hash.
But you have to admit, I can work miracles with hash.
You know, I think Poindexter ought to be able to go it alone from here on out. Look, he's coming out of the bank now. Poindexter, how'd you make out this time?
Me fine. But I didn't hear your reminder.
Well, that's because I didn't give you any. Fact is, Poindexter, you're graduated. You're on your own now.
Well, that's okay by me. You know, I found out how to make that courtesy is contagious thing work.
Good, good. Pass the word along, too, will you? I can't be bothered to make miracles for everybody.
You bet I'll do that.
How do you feel now, Poindexter?
Well, I feel like $1 million. I gotta hurry back to the office. But I'll keep in touch with you, Jupiter, old boy. Goodbye.
Hello, Andy. Oh. You waiting for me? You're darn right I am.
What's on your mind?
I got a gripe. I'm mad.
Yeah, what's the matter?
Plenty. It's that Joe Curtis's department. I had a fight with him this morning.
Yeah, how'd you make out?
Second best, doggone it.
What was the fight about?
Oh, the same old thing. Joe insists that I keep out-of-town billings separate from local ones. And he knows darn well that it takes twice as much time to do it that way than to do it my way. Boy, I told him off plenty.
You came out second best, huh?
Well, he's just bullheaded.
Andy, I had a funny experience today that taught me something. How I learned it, I won't tell you because you wouldn't believe me. But what I learned was very important to me. And easy and simple, and something perhaps you can use.
Oh? Well, what is it?
Well, you've got to be selfish in this wacky world of ours.
Selfish?
Yeah, but wisely selfish.
You better keep talking. Has made sense to me so far.
Well, everybody runs into people and situations every day that just irritate like the dickens. And everybody's first instinct is to get mad and lash back so they can burn the other guy up. But it usually doesn't work out that way. You come out second best, just like you did.
Hey, wait a minute now. You're not preaching at me, are you?
Me? No. I'm just passing on something I learned the hard way by Jupiter. Anytime you get into one of these spots, just remember one thing and you'll come out first best. Be selfish by saying and doing the things that'll make your life more pleasant. Now, here's what I suggest you do. You go back in that next office and talk to Joe again.
Our lad is certainly saving you some work on miracles, isn't he?
He sure is. There. Andy has gone back into Joe's office, and Poindexter is doing a little eavesdropping. Let's do the same thing, huh?
Oh, goody. I like to eavesdrop.
And I suddenly realized, Joe, that if I don't build the out-of-town stuff separately, it means a lot more work for your department. So from here on out, you're going to get those billings just the way you want them.
Well, say, thanks, Andy. It'll be a big help. And by the way, I think I can show you how to do that billing the way we have to have it in a lot less time than the way you've been doing it. I guess I just haven't had a chance to tell you about it before. But if you want to spend 5 minutes right now...
Sure thing, Joe. Tell me about it.
It worked again, Jupiter.
Sure, it worked, Poindexter. It always works. And it doesn't take a miracle to make it work either. You just showed Andy how to be wisely selfish.
I sure did. And he cashed in nicely, didn't he?
Naturally. Anyhow, you won't need us anymore. But be sure to keep passing the word along, Poindexter.
I certainly will, Jupe. Every chance I get. After all, I found out that people, all kinds of people, are always hungry for a little understanding and kindness and patience. When they get it, they feel better and they act better. And they give it back with interest. Isn't that it, Jupe?
That's it, son. That's it. Well, so long, Poindexter. So long, Jupiter. So long, Juno.